Were you there when they crucified my Lord? You weren't there. You just sang about it, but you weren't there. You weren't there to watch him have his nails put through his hands and feet. You weren't there to see the people ridicule him. You weren't there to watch as he was condemned to die. But I was. I'm not one of your favorite people. I was responsible for condemning Jesus to death, your friend. My name is Pontius Pilate, and I'm so hated by you that I'm even surprised that your pastor would invite me to speak to you today. I was made the governor of Judea in 26 AD, only a few years before Jesus would appear before me. I didn't want to condemn Jesus to death. I didn't want him to be before me. I didn't want this job. I was the one who condemned him to death. But I wasn't one of the favorite people for the Jews to start with. Oh, I loved the riches, the power, the glory. I loved all of this stuff, but it wasn't easy to rule the Jews. For one thing, the Jews understood that I represented the Roman government, and they hated the Roman government. They're the ones who had them in captivity. They're the ones who took away their freedoms as an independent nation. The Romans were the ones who made them pay taxes. That's one of the big reasons why they didn't like me. I represented the Roman government, a government that they didn't like, a government that they wanted to do without, a government that they would have liked to have completely go away. But there was more to it than that. I built an aqueduct, a wonderful civic project to get water to the cities. Yeah, but I stole the offerings from the temple in order to pay for it. They were offended because of the fact that I moved the army headquarters from Caesarea over on the coast to Jerusalem. It wouldn't have been so bad, except for the fact that the armies brought with them their banners, which held on there the image of Caesar. And when those banners were near the temple of God, the holy temple the people revered, where they went to worship and pray, they were offended by the fact that this was there for them as an affront against everything that they believed. I also was responsible for the deaths of a number of Jews who had gone to make sacrifices at the temple. But honestly, the Jews objected because of who I was. I represented the Roman government. I restricted their freedom, made them pay taxes. They would have disliked the governor no matter who was the governor. The Jews, however, were a stubborn nation anyway. It was hard to govern them. I tried to stay out of their internal squabbles and their conflicts as much as possible, but that didn't work when it came to Jesus. I was forced to deal with him. I was forced to make a decision about life and death for this, their friend. As for the Jews, they had already found Jesus guilty of death. They had asked him if he's the promised Messiah. Are you the King of the Jews? Jesus said, yes. That was all they needed to hear. That for them was an affront against everything they believed, because they believed that this Jesus could not possibly be the promised Messiah. And so they condemned him to death. They paid off one of the followers of Jesus to betray him. When he was away from the crowds, Judas led them to Jesus and they were able to take him into custody with very little problem. During the daytime, the crowds would have fought against the armies, but not then. They needed, however, to send Jesus to me. The answer was simple. The reason was simple. You see, the Jews believed that Jesus was worthy of death, but under Roman law, nobody but the Romans could declare capital punishment on anyone. The Roman government had to declare Jesus worthy of death. They thought he was worthy of death, but it didn't matter. They needed the Roman governor to put a stamp of approval on it. I thought that what they were hoping for is that I would just rubber stamp whatever they had decided. But I couldn't. I was a servant of the Roman government. And one of the main principles of the Roman government was justice, fairness. And it was unbelievable. I was a judge. I was going to judge the innocence of this man. And I knew that I had to give him a fair trial because that's what I prided myself in as being a judge. But when Jesus was appearing before me, he presented me with a problem. I knew after meeting with him for only a few moments that he wasn't guilty of anything that would cause his death. I could see that he was innocent. Innocent. They said, this Jesus claims to be a king. Well, that can't be. Can't have any king but Caesar. But when I questioned him about it, he said, but my kingdom is not of this world. My kingdom is not of this world. I knew very well he was no danger to the Roman government. Then the people said, but he's been stirring up people all the way from Jerusalem up to Galilee. I found a way out. Galilee was under Herod's jurisdiction, and he happened to be in Rome at the time. So I sent him over to Herod, hoping that Herod would do the dirty job of condemning him. But Herod wanted nothing to do with it, and he sent him back to me. The Jewish leaders, of course, were not in the palace. They couldn't come into my palace because that was the home of a Gentile. And if they went into the home of the Gentile, they would become unclean for worship. And this was their Passover feast. This was a high time of the year for them. They couldn't possibly do that. And so I had to go out to the Jews, to those guys, and declare to them that I saw no reason for a charge with Jesus. Herod didn't work, so I made another attempt. I beat Jesus, put on a royal robe, crown of thorns, put him out, said, here's your king, hoping that would be enough to satisfy the Jews. Oh no, not for them. We have no king but Caesar, they said. What do you want me to do? Crucify him. Crucify him. They were adamant. They wanted it above all things. So I tried another tactic. At the time of the Passover, it was customary for me to release a prisoner. Now, that doesn't sound maybe to you like a good idea, but these were political prisoners. And I would agree to release a political prisoner as a sign of goodwill toward the Jews. Yeah, but I had him this time. I gave them an unbelievable choice, a choice they didn't want to have. I offered to them Barabbas. He was a killer, a murderer, insurrectionist. He was a bad guy. And I said, okay, you want me to release Barabbas or release Jesus? Give us Barabbas. What do you want me to do with Jesus? Crucify him. Crucify him again, they said. Crucify him. I was also in trouble at home. My wife, Claudia, sent a message to me while I was trying this man Jesus. And she said, I had a dream. I've suffered a lot in my dream. Have nothing to do with this innocent man, she said. So I knew if I condemned Jesus to be condemned and crucified, I wouldn't have it easy at home either. And you know how that goes. Happy wife, happy life, right? But I wouldn't have it. It was going to be hard at home if I did anything but release this innocent man. Finally, the Jews said, he claims to be God. And he claims to be somebody that is the Messiah. And according to the law of Moses, he is guilty of death. We want him dead. And so I tried once more. I had this Jesus beaten to within an inch of his life. And then I put him out, hoping that this defeated, beaten Jesus would satisfy their desire for him to be punished. Here's your king, I said to them. We have no king but Caesar. You know, while all this is going on, there was something unique about this Jesus. I've had all kinds of prisoners before me over the years, but Jesus was different. He had a quiet dignity about him. He didn't argue. He didn't contend. He quietly accepted whatever I did against him. They shouted, crucify him, and if you do not, you are no friend of Caesar's. Oh boy, that meant I was stuck. I needed the Jews to be on my side. I needed them to be supportive of me. I couldn't have them go to Caesar and claim that I was not Caesar's friend. And so I gave the command, take him and crucify him. Then I did something I didn't always do. I took water out and I washed my hands. And I said, I'm washing my hands. I'm no longer guilty of the blood of this innocent man. Not like that could ever work, but I did it. And the Jews simply yelled out, let his blood be on us and on our children. But I got even with the Jews. I hung a sign on the cross that said, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. I was going to throw up in their face that they had me crucify someone who was important to them. I got the last word in. But it didn't really mean much to me. Over the years, I have been haunted by what I had done. I watched an innocent man die because of my command, because of my selfishness, because of my desire to have things good for me, rather than to do what was right. I did what was best for me, not what was right. Have you ever been in that situation? That you did what you wanted and not what you knew to be right? Or did you fail to do what was right? Maybe. You didn't defend someone who people were cutting down. You spread gossip about people. You stood by when somebody bullied one of your friends or acquaintances at school. I had to live with what I did. I know that I'm not your favorite person. But I also know that secretly you're happy because of what I had done, what I had decided. You believe that the death of Jesus forgives you and blesses you for all eternity. And when you keep that in mind, maybe you won't judge me quite so harshly.